that we needed to take in, and they actually gave us access to our NHG contribution, which actually helped us to offset the deposit that we needed to down pay on the home. And when we got all our documents together, we got ready for the NHT loan
interview. Right. And when we spoke to the NHT officer at the end of the interview, we were excited, we were overjoyed, we were relieved.
This is actually a testimony for us, and we like to encourage people that we know and you, telling others that they can become homeowners as well. I'm
Latoya Sams Blackwood, and this is the way we chose to buy our house through the open market. Thank you.
So I'm about to take you on our journey as to how we acquire our dream home. So basically I started from living in a 12 by 12 ply room. Whenever it rained, I had to go outside to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. Really tough. So my family was growing. I decided that I have to save up some money to buy a piece of land. I did so. Buy the piece of land. I want to build my house now. But when I look back and where I'm coming from, spending 13 to 14 years of my life living the house small by making that, so I might spend like about 15 to 20 years to basically bring my dream home to reality. Then I was suggesting it to my boss, talking to him about my discomfort, and then he said to me that I should go to the NHT. So after I went to NHT I did all that is required. After submitting my plan, they told me 6.5 million I will get 2-room and what I wanted to have my 4-bedroom house. There and then I decided that I am going to be my own contractor. So I did some research, and I realized the price that they were paying on a regular basis. So I set my prices and get my workers to sign off on what I can afford to pay. By doing that, I was able to stretch the money. With God by my side, today I can say I am a proud homeowner. Thanks to the NHT, this is our dream home.
As a new homeowner, you would have had a vision for your very first house. That vision has now become a reality. But what about your community? Do you also have a vision for the place where you will live and raise your family? Do you have a vision of how you will relate to the people who will become your neighbors?
My dream community would be more, we just don't settle for less. And we have recreational centers for more family and kids, variety store.
It's a community where children, adults, disabled, elderly people can move freely.
I would preferably like to have a gated community. Kids can feel safe.
My dream community is one where everyone is united. I would like to have friendly neighbors where I can go by and say, hey, do you have any sugar? Yes, I would also like a community where my children, well, future children, can have good friends to play with.
For over 40 years, the NHD has been turning dreams into reality. Communities.
Even before the NHD hands over a new community, the NHD meets with the new homeowners to give them some points to ensure that their community develops into a wholesome and prosperous one. Now, pre-occupancy and strata training introduce new homeowners to the joys and challenges of home ownership. We help new community members to organize themselves so that they can have a citizens association which manages the community. That is very important because that's one way you can help to develop a sustainable community.
As you move in, here are some tips to help you on this exciting transition to home ownership and to becoming an active community member. in the neighbors and form community groups. Get involved in your Citizens Association. This is where you will create and action a common vision. Community is built on respect for all your homeowners manual, which is your guide for the care and orderly development of your property and for the common spaces. Your home is a valuable investment that's sure to pay your mortgage on time. Your first payment is due on the first day of the second month after you receive your keys. This means that you get a 1-month payment holiday at the start of your relationship. Mortgage payments easy. If you're employed, pay by salary deduction. That way you don't have to worry about missed payments. Otherwise, the branch office, at the bank, or using online payment options such as the NHD mobile app. Beautify your property. Plant a garden so that your property will retain its value over the years. Let's create communities of which we can all
If you don't wanna see me, beautiful 180, crazy, thinking about
DJ Sharp. It's Christmas time, and we're filling the air with holiday spirit. The sounds of the season, all season long.
Get you in a good mood. Let the Christmas get you feeling fine. Put on your dancing shoes and come with me tonight. We're gonna rock till broad daylight. Make the Christmas get you in a good mood. Make the Christmas get you feeling fine. Put on your dancing shoes and come with me tonight. Gonna rock till broad daylight, yeah. come on, that's fine. Nothing should stop your feet from dancing. Come on, it's Christmas time, yeah. Let the Christmas get you in a good mood. Let the Christmas get you feeling fine. Put on your dancing shoes and come with me tonight. We'll all rock till broad daylight, yeah, yeah. Let the Christmas get you in a good mood. Let the Christmas get you feeling fine. Put on your dancing shoes and come with me tonight. We'll all rock till broad daylight. If your shoes start squeezing you, just kick them off, that's fine. Nothing should stop your feet from dancing. Come on, it's Christmas time, yeah. Let the Christmas get you in a good mood. Let the Christmas get you feeling fine. Put on your dancing shoes and come with me tonight. We'll all rock till broad day.
Jesus was born today, born in a manger. And though he was young, they say he was no stranger. He has set me free. If I will believe, I'm so glad to see it is his birthday. Jesus was born today. Oh, how we praise him. Shepherds and wise men say they will adore him. Mighty love has he, just for you and for me. I'm so glad to see it is his birthday. Oh, it's his birthday. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. Jesus was born today, born in a manger.
Pleasant morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I ask that individuals who are still outside of their seats, that at this time you please take your seats as we are ready to begin. And again, a quick housekeeping. At the announcement of the Prime Minister, I'll ask that everyone please stand, and you will remain standing for the national anthem, and thereafter I'll invite you as to when to be seated. Thanks very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister. I invite you to please remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. You may be seated. The Most Honorable and Your Holiness Prime Minister, the Honorable Colonel Charles Jr., Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Ms. Denise Daly, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Eastern, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Norman Scott, Mayor of Spanish Town, former Custos Rotolorum for the Parish of Manchester, the Honorable Sally Porteous, CEO of Crystal House International, Mrs. Nesta Claire Hunter, NHD Board Director, other Board Directors, Mr. Doran Dixon and Mr. O'Neill Grant, Mr. Martin Miller, Managing Director of the NHD, Reverend Franklin King, Superintendent of the Open Bible Standard Churches of Jamaica, the management and staff of the NHD, other distinguished guests, new homeowners, I think I'll say that again, new homeowners, you're warming up with me. A pleasant morning to you all. This is only the first day of December, but I believe it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. The temperature, probably not at this moment, but last night and the night before, felt the breeze a little bit. But for our NHD contributors who will be transitioning to homeowners this afternoon, having received the keys to their new houses here at Twickenham Glades, I'm sure they'll agree with me. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. At Twickenham Glades, a total of 110 housing units have been made available to qualified NHD contributors in this development. Now, some of our beneficiaries are here for the celebration, while others are joining us online, and we want to welcome them as well. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, on behalf of the National Housing Trust, a warm welcome to this, our handing over ceremony. My name is Dwayne Burbick, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for this very special occasion. And it's been a while since we've had one of these occasions, one of these opportunities to, reward our contributors for their faithfulness in contributing to the NHD. So this morning into this afternoon, I do hope that you will find this event truly a very historic one in the lives of our contributors, and that you'll celebrate with them as they move on in the next phase of their relationship with the National Housing Trust. So the Christmas breeze is blowing somewhat. The decorations have started to go up. And as the traffic becomes more hectic and the cooking and the baking and the shopping begins to take center stage, we should take time to be quiet and to reflect on the good things that continue to take place in our lives, especially this year, in spite of and despite everything that 2021 threw at us. Now, one of those good things is, of course, the opportunity to purchase a house, not just for these beneficiaries here with us today, but for thousands of other NHT contributors this year. And so at this time, we pause to say thanks. And we invite Reverend Franklin King, Superintendent of the Open Bible Standard Churches of Jamaica, to lead us in a prayer of thanksgiving and also invocation.
Can we stand, please? Except the Lord build the house, the labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. Let us bow our heads for prayer. God of all creation, we come before you today to give honor, praise, and thanksgiving. You are worthy to be praised. You have been the source of all that is good. You are the source of all our blessings. Thank you for every gift that you have been given. We thank you for the opportunity to come together this day. We ask for your hand of blessing on this ceremony. We ask that you will guide and direct the proceedings so that we will be filled with wisdom, productivity, and respect one for the other, so that it will be and you will be honored and glorified. Thank you for helping the National Housing Trust and all those who have labored and contribute to this project. We pronounce your blessings upon this project. We pray that the community will be a model community where peace, love, and joy will reign. These and other mercies we ask. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Kindly be seated.
Thank you very much, Reverend King. And indeed, let peace, love, and joy reign here at Twickenham Glades. Now this year, even in the midst of a pandemic, the NHT, through our scheme delivery program, offered over 1,300 housing solutions for sale in the parishes of St. James, in Clarendon, in Hanover, Manchester, and Westmoreland, and gave thousands of other loans to build, buy, or improve houses. Now, a driving force behind this activity is our board of directors, and here to make you further welcome and also to make opening remarks on behalf of Chairman Mr. Lennox Chano is Director Mrs. Nesta Claire Hunter. Do make her welcome.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Eastern, Miss Denise Daly, Mayor of Spanish Town, His Worship, the Mayor, Councillor Norman Scott, former Custos Rotolorum, Mrs. Sally Porteous, councillors and other political representatives, directors of the National Housing Trust, Managing Director of the National Housing Trust, Mr. Martin Miller and NHT staff, Superintendent of the Open Bible Churches of Jamaica, Reverend Franklin King, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's just about still morning, and welcome to the handing over ceremony for these beautiful and well-designed units here at Twickenham Glades. Today marks yet another proud moment in the NHT's 45-year history, where another group of well-deserving Jamaicans from every walk of life will receive the keys to their brand new home. At the NHT, we understand that these houses go beyond meeting a family's need for shelter. Home is the grounding force in our lives. It is safety, comfort, and peace of mind. Most importantly, home is an opportunity to permanently change the trajectory of our lives and those of generations to come. New beneficiaries, we're pleased to be partnering with you on this year home ownership journey. Welcome to the NHT family. This is just the beginning, and as such, we remain committed to walking with you every step of the way. Likewise, I encourage you to employ the same commitment, dedication, and vision that guided you to this point, to now protecting this worthwhile investment. The benefits offered by the NHT are expansive and as varied as the contributor base we served. And this is evidenced by the diverse group of mortgagors here with us this morning. Our goal at the NHT has always been and will continue to be that every family has the opportunity to lead decent, satisfying, and rewarding lives, regardless of their locality or position in society. It is for this reason that we constantly revise our policies and programs to further enhance our financing arrangements. To put things in perspective, in 2019, the upper end of the interest rate was 6%. Today, our interest rates range from 0% to 4%, which is the lowest in the market. Public sector workers continue to enjoy a 1% reduction in their applicable interest rates, and contributors who have a disability or a child with a disability benefit from a 2% interest rate reduction. Facilities like our deferred and intergenerational mortgages, Parent Assist, 100% finances for our housing solutions, as well as our home grant, continue to bridge the affordability gap for our contributors who need it the most. Now, despite the challenges being experienced by the housing and allied in the wake of the pandemic, our contributors have remained our #1 priority. This year, we have implemented several measures to assist our mortgagors and businesses to meet their obligations, because we're not only in the business of empowering Jamaicans to access home ownership, but also to keep those homes. Just over 5 years ago, the NHT promised to achieve a minimum of 23,000 housing starts by March 2021. I am very pleased to report to you today that we have not only delivered on our promise, we have exceeded it. This year, we expect a further 8,500 housing solutions, and for the parish of St. Catherine, the second largest parish, we have another upcoming 3,984 housing solutions scheduled over the next 3 years. As we continue this thrust to meet the ever-growing demand for housing, this year, the NHT intends on investing 57.7 billion in housing, the largest in any given year in the NHT's history. This means construction of quality and affordable housing solutions at an even faster pace, with the possibility of even more Jamaicans being able to experience the joys of home ownership. More than just providing shelter, we know the importance of facilitating the establishment of modern, suitable, safe, and functional communities. This is why we have outfitted this community and communities such as this with certain physical infrastructure and social amenities, as well as areas earmarked for community recreational areas. As we continue to navigate the space that we occupy as Jamaicans and global citizens, it has become increasingly important that we understand how we impact our world. That is why we have invested in research of alternative building materials to ease the burden on the environment and create even more affordable housing solutions for our contributors. You know, as I look around at this expertly designed scheme, it is quite evident that a great deal of time, commitment, and effort was invested to transform this space into this community. This would not have been possible without key partnerships. Therefore, I would like to thank the project managers, project teams, contractors, and stakeholders who contributed to this development. Beneficiaries. The Twickenham Glades already has the markings or makings of a great community, with a well-established neighboring Union Estate and shopping districts in close proximity. This is really a gem. I hope this space fills you with pride whenever you think about home. I therefore encourage you to utilize the investment wisely to the benefit of yourself, your family, your community, and your nation. Rely on the expertise of other citizens associations in neighboring communities to guide the development of your own associations. And of course, our social development team at NHT is ready to assist you. It is an absolute privilege to share this moment with you. Congratulations on what promises to be one of many milestones along this journey. Ladies and gentlemen, beneficiaries, thank you and enjoy the rest of the day's proceedings.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hunter. And I would agree with you that, well, I will agree with you that Twickenham Glades is indeed a gem. I was speaking with someone this morning and they pointed out to me that this location is what they would classify a commuter's dream, given where it's uniquely positioned. And I can't tell you the number of calls I've received in the last few weeks to say, you know, those nice houses you're building right out beside the St. Catherine branch, I can get one. And I had to be the bearer of bad news to say, I'm sorry, but 110 of our contributors, them first you. So you're going to have to wait on something else. But indeed, beautifully designed. I love the colors. The location is prime. And new homeowners of Twickenham Glades, congratulations on making a wise investment. Thanks again, Mrs. Hunter. Now, Twickenham Glades falls within the constituency of Eastern St. Catherine, and the Member of Parliament, she walked in this morning immaculately dressed as always, but she was beaming with pride as well. And to put that into perspective a little bit, It's not just the home ownership opportunities for her constituents. That's one thing. Construction leads to home ownership. But you will also know that when construction comes to a particular location, a community, there is the benefit to the local economy as well. But let me not steal her thunder. Let me not take away her remarks this morning. This afternoon, I'll invite Member of Parliament, Ms. Denise Daly, Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Catherine, to bring us her greetings. Do make her welcome.
Morning, everybody. Good morning. It's the Master of Ceremonies, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Minister Pernell Charles, Superintendent Reverend King, His Worship the Mayor, who is one of my counselors, and I must tell you, he is sharing that same joy. Members of the National Housing Trust, I must tell you, we could not do it without you. I sat there and with no apology, I said Michael Manley knew exactly where he was going when he thought about the National Housing Trust. But I want to sing you a little song by Mighty Diamonds. I need a roof over my head. I need a roof over my head. I won't set the bread on my table now. But today we can say, the recipients, I have a key for my home. That's a new song we're going to put out. Master Ceremony, Honorable Prime Minister, it's a pleasure to have you back in St. Catherine, even though it is not a strange ground for you. I am very happy, and the Master of Ceremonies said it. I am extremely pleased because, you know, sometimes they make Spanish Town look as if nothing is happening. And I reminded the Parliament that all history started for Jamaica in Spanish Town. I believe there is nothing else that you can give anyone than a home, a roof over their head. And today, I am very happy to know that this project started, and I'm certain it finished within time, Prime Minister, and I'm not too certain if it is within budget. But I know that we were able to complete on time. It is a beautiful picture coming into Spanish Town, and as a Member of Parliament, it is something that I'm really, really grateful for. I'm also grateful for the fact that the recipients will be able to live in close proximity to shopping areas, and also in terms of transportation for those who don't have. And also, it is almost in the middle of Kingston and Spanish Town. It's an ideal location, and I believe, Prime Minister, this is a start, just a start for me, because there is much more to come. I want to just implore the recipients who are now becoming homeowners that a house, you're getting a house and you're going to turn it into a home. You're going to make it a home so that you will be able to live and raise your family. You have to be your brother's keeper. You have to be good neighbors, because too many of these beautiful schemes have almost going disarray because the people who live there don't understand that it is theirs and they have to protect it. They have to be involved in community-based organizations and to make sure that whatever is not going right, they meet, discuss, and resolve. I want to implore each and every homeowner over here, let this scheme be the best in terms of self-awareness, instead of helping yourself, because we tend to believe that somebody from outside is going to come and do something for us inside. I want to implore you that you must be able to stay within your own community and build it to be the kingdom that you would want. I want to say to you developers, National Housing Trust, I have a little problem. It's not big. It's a passion of mine, though, is to make sure that the communities, that every development that you have, Prime Minister, you have to implore that we start putting the infrastructure. Because when some of these houses are finished and it is left, the infrastructure in terms of playing areas for people, where people look a park that people can sit, and some of these open spaces, because they are not properly utilized, they are left to languish. We are asking that hand in hand, while we're building the house, we put in the necessary infrastructure to make it a complete scheme. I want to use this opportunity now to just thank more so the security forces. They are out in their numbers. I appreciate your presence here, the members of the media, and to say to National Housing Trust, you are doing a good job. The day when I see the Ancart man own a little place, it is the day then I can say, thank God, my full dream come true. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Catherine, singer, artist, entertainer. You know, if I knew you were going to do that, Miss Daly, I would have given you a different introduction. But Mighty Diamonds and that wonderful dub plate aside, I hope we didn't miss the message this morning that home ownership is one thing. But having become a homeowner, we need to maintain that investment that we've made in, you know, in the house, and change it from just a house into a home. Thank you very much, Ms. Daly, for those timely words, and I hope they fall on fertile soil with our beneficiaries this afternoon. Our next speaker is the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., and he's a man with many hats, and under his portfolio ministry alone, he has responsibility for housing, for urban renewal, for environment and climate change. He gets that bird's eye view of that value chain of how the environment and housing and everything comes together, all of which requires, of course, expert coordination and harmony across the portfolios, and of course, the great leadership that comes with that. He's fresh from COP26, and I'm not sure if he's going to sing this afternoon. I know he can sing. I know he's pretty good with the keyboard as well and the piano. I don't see any. I'm not sure which of the talents he'll display, if any, this afternoon. But do make welcome at this time to bring his greetings and his remarks, Minister Pernell Charles Jr.
Thank you, Sir Berbick. Let me acknowledge, of course, our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, MP Singer, Daly, Mayor of Spanish Town, councillors, caretakers that are here, the former Custos Sally Portius, Managing Director of NHT, and your wonderful team, all of the staff members who have put this ceremony together, friends from the media, good afternoon. You know, the bird's eye view that I get is is really one that has caused me to understand that our Prime Minister, when he speaks in public about the ambition towards 70,000, when he speaks about the importance of housing in our development agenda, he means it. I have the opportunity, Mr. Miller, to see the passion and the genuine desire off the podium. And I want to just take these few seconds on behalf of the country to say, Prime Minister, you are leading us in a time that none of us would want to lead. You're leading in the most challenging time during several pandemics. How you have been able to keep steady, keep focused on all of the critical issues, appear at all of the ceremonies, give the speeches, understand the minutiae details, is only because you are blessed with a mission. And I want to say to you, thank you for all that you have done and your unwavering determination to make the NHT not just produce homes, but be focused on producing sustainable communities. Prime Minister, friends, we understand the interconnection between the social, the economic, and the environmental challenges that we face in Jamaica. And when we build and plan communities such as Twickenham Glades, what we do is we offer an opportunity for our citizens to be able to access not just housing at a more affordable rate, but to access homes in a community where the efficiency of mobility, so they can move, is factored in, where the access of social services is factored in, where the spaces that will be needed, the safe, sustainable spaces for their children and family members to be able to play and to live is factored in. And that is what the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change is focused on. We are focused on creating the stronger partnerships, on creating the network that is required for us to not just meet the ambitious target of 70,000, but to ensure that we build resilience. At COP26, the great focus for Jamaica was identifying the support that is needed from the developed partners for us as small island developing states to build up our infrastructure and to build up the resilience so we can withstand the impact of the weather events that are coming. When we build in this way and factoring rainwater harvesting and factoring the sustainable practices that are needed, we build resilient. We build towards sustainable development. And so on behalf of the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, we continue to look forward to strong partnerships with the NHT, strong partnerships with the private sector, who are being invited and attracted to work with the NHT because of the more than reasonable rates. And we look forward to next year, which we jump-started yesterday, Prime Minister, in the Parliament, with an allocation of at least $1 million to each constituency to help jump-start their efforts to put some resilience into the residents. Next year, we hope that we will be able to push programs to integrate green parks and green spaces and sustainable living across the country. And it speaks to what you said, MP Daly. That is the vision that the Prime Minister has articulated. That is the vision that we at the Ministry are advancing, where every single Jamaican, the handcart man, the teacher, the politician, we will all have the ability to have safe, legal, and affordable housing. That is the Jamaica we all want. And we can only do it through collaboration. So I want to thank you also, MP, and your team for working with the NHT and for making this a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Charles. Probably you will bust a tune and go on the keys another time, in another forum. So there's a certain gentleman among us who, I don't know for anybody else, but he quite surprised me at his first handover ceremony. He had some very interesting questions beyond those that we usually get. And those questions gave us some kind of insight and a revelation that it was more than just a passing interest that he had in the work of the NHT. That he wasn't just here to cut a ribbon, but he wanted to know things like, what's the sewage disposal system that was being used? And why were the windows only X feet? And what was the cost per square foot to build? And just this moment, you see him consulting with the managing director. I'm sure he had some of those, if not similar questions for Mr. Miller just now. And some will say he got that kind of tutelage from perhaps his wife, maybe. Wherever he gets it from, it's irrelevant. As such is the down-to-earth interest that he has in his portfolio. The person of whom I speak is none other than our portfolio minister and prime minister. To speak of talent, I know he is great when it comes to table tennis. Again, not the forum to display that talent this afternoon, but I'm sure he has quite a bit he wants to share as to what is happening with his vision as it relates to the NHT and housing Jamaicans, one Twickenham Glades, one housing development, one community at a time. We now invite to deliver his main address, the most honorable.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Allow me to say all protocols have been observed. I am going to remove my mask if you allow me. The cameras would have captured that I entered the event with the mask on, and I am sufficiently distant from everyone else in the audience. And because this is a government event, the attendees would all have had to establish that they are vaccinated. So I'm certain that I'm looking at all vaccinated persons here, including the homeowners who are present. I just want to be clear that it is not the intention of the government to create any form of segregation. Let me be clear on that, because I'm seeing this narrative emerging, one treatment for the vaccinated versus another treatment for the unvaccinated. It is of concern to me, and we examine our policies very closely to ensure that there is no undue, unnecessary, unfair, unjust differentiation that could be classified as discrimination. We are a liberal democracy, we are a free country, and we are all in the same boat, vaccinated and unvaccinated. So I want to assure persons that whatever we do from a public health standpoint is because it is absolutely necessary to do so that we can all enjoy our country. But this is not the time to go any further. Minister Charles, Merlin, Mr. Mayor, how are you, sir? Now is the time to talk about housing. Now, the NHT was formed, what is it now, Martin? 42 years ago, about 44 years ago, almost. That time, MP Daly was probably just graduating from my alma mater, St. Catherine High School. I'm not giving you age. And obviously, when it was formed out of a dream. The persons know it was where our political forefathers wanted to could have a pension. So some of the funds from that was put into the NIS, into the NHD. Mission is still relevant to the circumstances and the conditions today. That review has been done, and there are some things that we need to do to ensure that the alignment is fully executed. We see the misalignment of vision and reality in the public commentary on the NHD should be involved in social housing. And so much of the criticisms that you would see when the NHD, for example, advertises housing units, their minds, the cost of housing to address. Bring down the cost is a sense that the NHD was also designed for them. Now, I have to be so careful in my commentary what I have to say. And the important messages that have to get dismissed, nonetheless, I have great faith in the Jamaican people. They will be able to look through the noise and pick sense out of nonsense. Or rather, take out the nonsense and focus on what makes sense. So yes, the NHD's mission is to build houses for the people of Jamaica. It is designed to make housing affordable, and it is developed employers designed to serve contributors. We have over these many years and used it for the general purpose of creating contributors funding, and we have used it in social housing, meaning we have rooted to the NHD. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with that, if it does not deprive, because then that wouldn't be fair. Already, there is the question of fairness. Persons have contributed. So what have we done since taking interest? And at the same time, address they are really poor, but our belief, our social ethos, is that shelter is an entitlement for Jamaicans. We should give a guarantee to our citizens for this. So what have we done? Well, the first thing we have said to the NHD, build house. Use your resources that have been piled up year on year on year, that people start to salivate on it, to say NHD has this massive reserve, which is not true, but it has enough rate. And we raise it, you're going to hear the contention again. I see O'Neill smiling. But coded terminology is that for those in the society. We have taken the policy decision, and the NHD is now closer aligned to its original mandate, which is to build housing for persons to be able to access. The people here who are about to get the keys to their homes would be beneficiaries of this government policy. And I will go a little bit more than is into $15,000 a week or less. The interest rate on your mortgage is zero. Zero. You can get a grant from the NHD of up to 2.5 million. A grant, that is, we take up the money and give it to the beneficiary. So it kind of rubs me the wrong way as well when I hear the blanketisms without context of what the NHD is doing. It is to build housing for contributors, in showing how the NHT has, in social housing, has given back. There are several schemes which the NHT has partnered with or is involved with that were they to come to market, they would be unaffordable. And the NHT has taken contributors' money and subsidized those units so that the average Jamaican can afford it. One scheme comes to mind in St. James, because is the Avery? Estuary. I keep mixing them up. The Estuary. Over $1 billion of NHT funds were used to subsidize that development so that workers in the tour could afford those houses. And there are several. I'll leave it to the NHT to explain into the NHT for further use in developing projects like this one. And I want to just make a comparison. In the argument that may be market, there may be, and I won't discount it because it's something that we have to look at seriously. But I explained to you why the NHT is involved in it. On the books, many of them I didn't make. People are expecting them, but I am at the wicket now, so I have to fulfill them. For Ruthven Road was made before my time, but the housing beneficiaries today, and who knows, probably the land would be sitting down there waiting to be developed. There is a feeling that we could have sold the land and it would have been developed. From what we have seen, it is not always the case. And even if we did sell it, we could not give any guarantee that the prices would come out at on similar properties that are not in the heart of New Kingston, and they are going for slightly more in some instances. So what we have done in doing that property, beneficiaries, our contributors, are able to benefit. So those 86 persons are contributors. And I understand that though there was some uproar about the cost of it, that they have all been applied for, and very shortly the successful applicants will be announced, which is to say, it has a duty to provide housing. And you have to look at this segment relative to its distribution of its portfolio right across. So this development in Ruthven Road, it's in dollars. That land is prime land in the heart of New Kingston. Overriding duty that all these developments that are taking place in our capitals, that the gentrification does not leave out the average person. And it just becomes exclusive. Only rich can afford it. Affordable housing. So that Kingston doesn't become an enclave exclusive to the rich. And then, whilst we are developing our capital and our urban space, it is diverse. So the land, first of all, is very expensive. For example, if you were to compare it to this development here, this development is 12.2 acres, I gather. And the cost of the land is $37 million. So you do the comparison. Yeah, $37 million for this. So in effect, Ruthven Road would be about 10 times as expensive. And therefore, you can begin to understand why the units, and therefore you can begin to understand why the units expensive. We have instructed the NHD to its participation in this segment, it's going to be a difficult decision as to whether or not we should not participate at all except in the provision of mortgage, and what that will do to those persons who would want to be able to access, but because it is going to be open market, the competition on price might leave them out. You see, so there is that equity and balance. But there is another phase to the project. Ask them to take a second look at it to see whether or not they should proceed based upon, the construction cost action. We really don't, people don't understand that a public body going about its business, a board that is properly functioning, we make a decision and then a volley of criticism. We can't just sit back. Immediately we have to focus on that problem and respond. And so I know because they had to shift to go and address. It's the nature of what we do, but at the same time we have to be careful with how the negative public, not too offend. It started under previous JLP administration. It was attempted to be completed under the previous PNP administration, and now it has again fallen deal with. It is now being completed. I wonder if you see what I'm saying. Much of what I have had to do as Prime Minister is not on my own new mandate, the things that I am doing. Much of it is to take what was started before, and because it reaching all kinds of problems, I've had to take time off, go pull back these projects, see what the issues are, resolve them, and then bring them to market. So this project, which lay there for almost a decade, is now being done. At the time, and I want to just make this point to you, at the time when $3 million, when I finally, the target price was 6. That's what they entered the market at. But they are hovering a little bit above 7. The point I'm making to you, let's not argue about getting projects done. Do them now. The longer we wait, the more expensive they become. Do them now. So I just think that they can't hold all these projects that weren't being done, and we are getting them done, and it is better to get them done now. There's also the backdrop of a pandemic, which has caused steel prices to double, lumber prices to almost double. So the cost of development is going to be expensive. It wasn't the intention of the NHD to go and build extremely expensive units. That was their intention, Martin. No. But as you have gone ahead and developed, you have had to make changes to make sure that the project is suitable. And there has been cost escalations. But the project has still come out very reasonable relative to similar projects in the vicinity of New Kingston. But I just wanted to address those issues and to point out that under construction currently, the NHT has 12,019 units. Michael Manley would be proud of that, because this is the most that the NHT has ever had under construction for any period, including when it was building over Portmore. It has 12,019 units under construction. If you look at the statistics for the last 10 years, you will see 5, 7. We have doubled it. 12,019, of which more than 95% of these units are affordable to low income. In addition, so what you have is a scene that is under construction. As those come out of construction, you will have a replacement from those moving out of planning. And that's the pipeline. 2 to 3 years guaranteed to be on the market. That's not enough. It's not going to solve our problem, but it is going to take us a far way to the solutions. My only challenge, Martin, is to ensure that we keep that target of 8 million as a target. The NHD would be spending upwards of about $100 billion currently on the housing solutions in place. So when it comes to driving economic growth through housing, the expenditure of the NHD is significant. Commend the management of the NHD in fulfilling the mandate that has been given to you. Build houses. I know the pressures can be high, but yes, you become stronger. And that's what I want from the NHD. Keep focus on that mission of building housing for Jamaicans. And this is, of course, a demonstration of the NHD fulfilling its mission. You have now constructed here 110 units, 2-bedroom quad unit, two bedroom duplexes. In terms of the for jogging and recreation, you have made provisions for parking. The only thing I would say is that when the homeowners with the greening and find that that will be very, very helpful, you're close to the highway and the trees can act as a sound barrier and as a dust barrier as well. And of course, same thing with the grass. And it will just create these 13 points, which align with what housing solutions with this level of threshold. There are 12 applicants in the income threshold where their interest rate on the NHD loan would be 2%. And there are 38%. So you find, Minister, that there is a distribution. So I'm who category anymore, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Actually, they're, in the of diversity, housing schemes under special orders are reserved. Again, through this torturous journey of a presentation, to make the point that not everything that you hear goes up. And that not all the conversations that are carried are conversations that are based in facts or have the full context. And it is my duty, obviously, to always be ensuring that the public is properly informed and that the context is clear. The NH have reviewed to ensure that it is fully aligned. There are some changes to be made, particularly in terms of how the NHD uses its resources for social housing, and at the same time, ensuring that the agencies and the HAJ, that they are adequately funded to do that. So maybe the NHD doesn't need to be in the market directly, it could pass the funding on, which it does now, but could probably make that more streamlined. The second thing that we have to look at is whether or not the NHD should continue to have any footprint whatsoever in the higher income category, which would mean young professionals would probably be at a disadvantage there. But we will have to look at it based upon, you know, as we say, we are a democracy, we pay attention to what the public is saying. So again, we will have to, I don't believe we'll be able to look at interest rates just yet. We have to take a second look at how the port is relevant. We are ensuring that Michael Manley would be proud of the NHT. And it is my wish, as it was Michael Manley's wish, to see every Jamaican have an opportunity to decent shelter. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Most Honorable Prime Minister. And ladies and gentlemen, the word for today is context. Context. And the value of the NHT cannot be summed up in one housing development, cannot even be summed up in the ported. And Prime Minister, to borrow from the precedent Ms. Daly set this morning, I want to add to your build house mantra, and I want to add my own little dub plate. Don't worry, I won't sing. Trust me, I won't sing. If I may take those liberties and speak with you like this in this forum, but we're building house now. Because the houses are needed, right, Donald? Have your support. They're needed? No. I'm picking out the senior leadership team. Mrs. Wilson, the houses are needed? No. Mr. Palmer, the houses are needed? No. Dr. Williams, the houses are needed? No. I'm picking on the senior leadership team of the NHT to ensure that we're all on the same page. And thanks again, Most Honorable Prime Minister. Now it's now time for the handing over of keys. And our homeowners here at Twickenham Glades will raise children here. They see their homes appreciating value. That's something you're sure of will happen. These houses will definitely appreciate in value. And they will perhaps even be as one of the proudest in their lives. So upon hearing your names, I'll ask that the proud new homeowners, they will Pernell Charles Jr., Ms. Denise Daly, Mrs. Nesta Claire Hunter, assist with presenting keys to our beneficiaries. It's with Bernardine Anderson. Keep that applause going as we welcome Mr. Dwight Bailey. And we'll ask our beneficiaries, you make your way up to the center aisle, and I'll ask that you exit to my left. That's on this side. Please make welcome McDonald Cormack. Melissa Henry. Patrick Lindsay. I realize he came with his own cheering squad, Mr. Prime Minister. Shanice Ennis. Sheldon Wright. and Teresa Wright. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Just a reminder, we have 110 beneficiaries here, but of course, given our DRMA protocols, we can't have everyone here, so only 25 of our beneficiaries will be receiving keys in this ceremony. And I'll invite now the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr. to assist with the handing over of the next set of keys. And we'll begin this batch of beneficiaries with Kevin Lewis. This does not look like a Kevin Lewis, but I'm sure there's a reasonable, and this is Krista Lewis. Is it a Mrs. Lewis? Thank you, Miss Lewis, Mrs. Lewis. Kimara Powell. Ruth James. Shanique Stewart. And rounding off this batch of beneficiaries, please make welcome Suzette Kelly. Thank you, Ms. Kelly, and thank you very much, Minister Charles. And I'll now invite Member of Parliament, Ms. Denise Daly, to assist with the handing over of our next set of keys to our beneficiaries. And we begin this batch of beneficiaries. We'll begin with handing over keys to Brittany Walker. Gaston Reynolds. Janet Ballantyne. Edith Hunter. And Venice Thomas. Very much, Ms. Daly. Set of keys to our beneficiaries, and we'll begin this batch of Cynthelina Burton. Denise Orr. Janelle Spencer. and Mervyn Lamy. Last set of batch of beneficiaries with Doreen O'Connor. I didn't get that one right, so let's try that again. Dorian O'Connor. Roy Evans. Mr. Evans, let's do that one more time. You can applause for all our benefits that came here. So not Twickenham, don't make nobody call on a community Twickenham or anything. It's Twickenham. Twickenham. So as usual, Google immediately suggested a number of questions asked by other searchers, and one of those questions was, as British as the pronunciation in nature, and it said, is Twickenham posh? And the answer to that was, living in Twickenham is considered highly desirable, and house values are high. So in short, yes, Twickenham is posh, and we would like every resident here at Twickenham Glades to also consider their community highly desirable. And you have excellent schools, you have excellent public services, practically on your doorsteps, RGD next door, TAG next door, and A1 road, good transportation, and the list goes on. So the rest is now really up to you, as I'm sure Mr. Dwight Bailey would agree. Mr. Bailey is a new homeowner here at Twickenham Glades, and we now invite him to move the vote of thanks on behalf of our beneficiaries. Please make Mr. Bailey welcome.
The Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change, Miss Denise Daly, MP, Member of which is a Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Eastern, and the Mighty Diamonds. So we, the selectees of Twickenham Glades, are extremely delighted for this opportunity to own a piece of in this freshly built development. We are feeling accomplished because owning a home is one of the most significant investments anyone can make for the financial security of ourselves and our families. We, the WhatsApp groups, we are thriving for our community to be one of the best, if not the best, development handed out by the National Housing Trust. The commitment is already being felt. The relevant stakeholders will join hands and hearts with us to make this mandate a reality. The security, sustainability, and beautification of our community is of top priority. Our community members, in particular our children, must feel safe. Hence, the necessary steps will be taken to foster a relationship with the security forces. Crime and violence will not be tolerated. And I want my fellow members, community members, to repeat this with me. Crime and violence will not be. Thank you. It is important that we thank the most honorable Andrew Holness for his commitment to increase the availability of housing solutions in Jamaica. We thank the NHT and all the staff for having us believe over the past couple of months that every unknown number that called us was a call to come and collect our keys. We want also to thank them for making our experience so far a wonderful one. The vision and execution of the Twickenham Glades development, and also for the partnership that was fostered with Astrom to make this development a reality. Such a beautiful finish. Special thanks to the NHT for holding our pre- and post-occupancy workshops. These sessions welcomed us to the community of Twickenham Glades and provided information on good governance in our community. The marketing, after-sales services, the loan management provided us with pertinent information which morphed into robust discussions. These sessions also enabled us, the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the NWO. We want to honor for the service. We want to thank all the participants in today's proceedings, everyone who played their part in making today a major success and harmony. Thank you.
Before we head out of here. So the Prime Minister and the touring party will cut the ribbon to mark the opening